Next we have Ricky Ford and Adrian Yates. Now, Ricky and Adrian come from the milk industry and they're here to talk to us about retainable asset management. I think that's right, returnable asset management. There we go. And one of the things that is a comparative example is the trolleys for our linen, and they have a trolley repatriation scheme that they're going to talk to us about.
So good afternoon, my name is Ricky Ford, I'm the asset manager for Muller Dairies. This is Adrian Yates. Adrian works for Dairy UK, who are the industry body that run a repatriation scheme for metal cages. Part of my responsibility is the control and management of our roll cage fleet. We've probably got about 300,000 metal roll cages. So we were asked to come today to share some of our knowledge and experience of looking after our equipment. And what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about dairy industry losses, why we lose them, a bit about asset management and control, and then Adrian will take over and talk a bit about Dairy UK. I think to say that we probably have the same problems within the two industries. We send out metal cages with milk in, they go missing, and some of your members send out metal cages with laundry. We have exactly the same problem. So some background. The cost of a new trolley is about £65. You've probably seen them if you go and pick your milk up from the supermarket. They're the ones that sit in the fixture. They're a critical part of our business because the factories are fully automated. So if you run out of trolleys, your dairy stops. You can't use pallets or something else, and hence that's why Muller employ asset manager like me, and so do some of the other large dairies to look after our equipment. Dairy industry purchases about 80,000 trolleys per year, and in some years we have lost over £4 million worth. So 4 main reasons for losses. The first one is because people use them when they don't belong to them. Why buy my own and get yours for free? And there are a number of dairy companies within the industry who are quite happy to use our assets instead of buying their own. It's sort of unethical. Most of the dairies try to do the right thing. We get our other people's trolleys back, and we give them back to them when we can. The main reason is that dual supply in the industry is common, and I'm sure that's the same in some of the laundry business. The supply chains overlap, so if you have a company that want to use your equipment, they can easily do that. Customer misuse, they're not just for milk, same with any metal equipment you send out. These are some examples that we've got. This is a picture of some of our dairy trolleys being used in a supermarket, where the supermarket's decided to use them for health and beauty products because they're useful. This is an airline caterer. I know airline catering is a place that is used quite often for laundry. As you can see, they're using them for all sorts of things. Another of our customers, the engineers used them when they took some racking out to redo the building. And this is the sort of thing you'll mostly see as you're driving around milk trolleys, and that's outside sort of corner shops when they're using them for vegetables, and in this case, soft drinks. If I go back to the last slide when we said about people not using their own equipment, this is usually what happens, that the dairy that probably supplied this shop wasn't their equipment, so it didn't really matter if they let that shop use 3 or 4 trolleys. It's not theirs. They've got no financial interest in it. And lastly, non-dairy misuse. There are certain locations that we consider as high risk. Really, they're anywhere that's got a shared goods in area or shared loading bays, and they can be hospitals, motorway services, the airline industry, large shopping centres, and I'm sure hospitals are a place where you lose lots of equipment. These are some of milk trolleys being used for hospital records. That's only one trolley, but it struck me as quite funny that it was return crutches that they were using it for. And this is one of the large airline caterers, whereas you can see there are literally dozens and dozens of milk trolleys, and there are a number of businesses that I think it's ingrained in the culture that they're using equipment that's not theirs. And it would be amiss for me to come here and say that laundries are not involved in that, because we do have quite a few problems with laundries using dairy equipment. It might not be the laundry, it's possibly that the laundry's being loaded into those trolleys when they come back to you, but hopefully today there's some things we might be able to do together. Theft for scrap and sale. It's not so much of a problem now because the scrap metal price has gone down, but going back 2 or 3 years ago, it was a big issue for us, and it could become that again. That if you're sending out metal equipment, they're not picking it up, the chances are someone else is going to take it for money. As I say, they can end up in scrap yards. Dairy UK have done a lot of work with the police and the the recycling industry, so a lot of places now won't take dairy trolleys. But I can guarantee if I went into any scrapyard, there would be large retail cages. I'm sure some of your members' equipment is getting to these places. Something we have seen as an increase is because the scrap metal price is so low, there are a lot of trolleys now on eBay. We monitor that quite closely as an industry, but there are trolleys on eBay from almost every major company, DHL, the NHS. I'm sure if your members have got any, they'll be there as well. So why do we lose them? Well, as I said, we've got the same issues really. In all of these examples, we didn't collect. That's the main thing, is that our driver didn't collect. But it's not always the driver's issue, because he goes to a location, he gets there in the morning, if it's a hospital or a big shopping centre, he delivers his trolley, there's not one for him to collect. He hasn't got time to go and visit, to walk around the place, so he'll come away without it. So information is key. You've got to have a system where you're monitoring trolleys out and trolleys in, so you know where we lost them, how many did we lose, and who lost them. Now, from our point of view as a dairy industry, because they're such an integral part of our business, we spend a lot of time and money on protecting them. And just a few things that we do. Identification is key. You have to make sure that if you're putting trolleys into the market, they clearly have your name on them. Stickers are probably not a good idea. Trolleys you have etched into the metalwork property of all the main dairies. And I suggest if you're using metal trolleys and putting them out there, you've got to have some way that they can't be changed by the person who's taking them. We've got an asset manager, myself, for the dairy companies, and we've got SOPs for all of our asset management. So we've got special standard operating procedures that just cover asset management, nothing else. They tell the driver what he's responsible for, the guys on the loading bays, on the intake bays, and in the factory. We monitor our numbers daily, so we've got a number of systems that record trolleys in and out, and we audit against our SOPs to make sure that each of the sites are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Commercial buy-in is key to the process, because it's probably your commercial guys that are having the face-to-face contacts with people you're going to put equipment into. So you need to make sure from the offset that they understand that, you know, if we're giving you metal trolleys that sometimes are probably worth more than the equipment you're putting in them, that they've got a responsibility to give them back to you. And trolley team, which Adrian represents, are a key part of that process. So before I hand over to Adrian, one thing I would say is if anyone goes back today and thinks, okay, yeah, I'll appoint a trolley manager or someone to look after our equipment, you need to make sure everyone's responsible. It's no good just saying, oh, we'll create a trolley champion, we'll make them look after our equipment. Everyone needs to be responsible, from the driver right to the depot manager. Everyone needs to know what their part they're playing in. And with that, I'll pass you on to Adrian.
Thanks, Ricky. Good afternoon. And I work for Dairy UK, which is the trade association for the dairy industry. We lobby Parliament, we lobby Brussels on behalf of that industry. We also provide other services like the Dairy Transport Assurance Scheme, which is all about good quality of the milk from the farm into the dairy, which works closely with Red Tractor. And we supply health and safety support to smaller businesses in the dairy industry. And myself, I run Trolley Team, which is a repatriation scheme on behalf of the dairy industry. We have 22 members, and excuse me, I've got 3 investigators working for me, one in the north, one in the Midlands, one in the south, and we charge a subscription fee, and we also make a small profit from returning trolleys back to the members. Any profits that we do make, we return to the members through a surplus, or we spend it on projects to improve what we do through technology and so on. We carry out over 200 inspections a month. Now, the 3 guys, they can go into airports, not airside, but, you know, landside. They do hospitals, St George's in Tooting, which is on the BBC at the moment, the A&E department. We can pull 80 trolleys a month out of there. And they're all in abuse. Now the guys have to go in and empty them. And they go in with the guy that works for Ricky, a guy called Paul Smith, and recover those trolleys on a monthly basis. The biggest problem is stopping the trolleys going back in the first place. You know, so we're looking at ways of improving that as we go. The guys also inspect dairy companies. So Ricky works for Muller. Muller have got several dairy processing sites, and my guys just walk up, knock the door, go in and do a count. You know, they're not done by appointment. They're done on an unannounced, unhindered basis. They also look for new leads. So as Ricky's shown you, some shop with trolleys out the front, they'd be approaching those people. Sometimes it's difficult because they tend to be from an Asian background, and then you get the communication issues where my guy can't communicate with their guy. So we have to try and work a way around it. And we also work with the police and the BMRA, as Ricky has said, to reduce the number of trolleys going into scrapyard. We use a thing called Team Haven, which is a product of Composite Data Solutions. It's a software system, so everything goes in the telephone. When the guy goes in, does an inspection, it's all in there, it's keyed in. And once he syncs his phone, that information, if he went to one of Ricky's sites, then that information would pop up as an email to Ricky as to what we've counted at that site, and if there's any abuse there, which normally in Ricky's sites there's not. Some of our smaller members who may be using other people's trolleys to a certain level, say 5%, then we'd also relay that to Ricky as well on a weekly basis as to where we found his trolleys during the previous week. When we do find new abusers, then if, say it was Ricky again or Isle of Foods trolley that we found in abuse, that email will automatically go, by ticking a box on the summary, it'll automatically go to the person who owns the trolley so that they can take any action that they want to do. We have a trolley repatriation service, and last year we repatriated about 35,000 trolleys. And we use a company called Trolleywise. Trolleywise is part of the Vansel group. They manufacture supermarket trolleys for Aldi, Asda, Morrison's, roll cages for Iceland. So it's a very big German company. They've got 40 vehicles out there repairing supermarket trolleys, pulling them out of canals and so on. And at the same time, they collect and return the trolleys that we identify. It's nationwide coverage, and like I say, well, 36,000 trolleys in 2015. So working together, how can we help? We all, as Ricky said, we've got similar issues. You know, we find our assets in the laundries. No doubt your roll cages end up in different companies. And it's all about, we can offer a service, because my guys are out there finding milk trolleys and walking past linen roll cages at the same time. And, you know, it's can we work together? Can we provide a service to you? Well, naturally, there'll be a small charge, but it's all about helping each other and working to meet and discuss the same needs. Thank you. Thank you.